Good evening. Welcome to the live stream of the Dorchester School District 2 Board of Trustees October 26 board meeting. These meetings are held on the second and fourth Monday of each month and always provide useful information regarding the operation of our district and schools. These meetings are recorded and posted at dd2.org/live. Before the meeting begins, you'll want to note these important updates. October is Business Partner Appreciation Month. We salute all of our business partners who work with us in so many creative ways to enrich the lives of our children, families, staff, and community. Our business partners volunteer their time, make donations, sponsor special programs, and provide educational opportunities in our district. Thank you, DD2 Business Partners. If you would like to join our team of business partners, please reach out to your school. A list of our schools may be found at dd2.org/contact. We are accepting applications for a district heating and air condition specialist and electrician. Learn more and submit applications online at applitrack.com/Dorchester/online app. Select Maintenance Classified under Vacancies to access more information about each position. Apply today or share this information with your friends and family. Flu season is here. The best way to prevent the flu is to get a flu vaccine. You can get a flu vaccine from your healthcare provider, county health department, or a local pharmacy. Everyone 6 months or older should receive a yearly flu vaccine. Due to COVID-19, DHEC is unable to hold traditional school-located vaccine clinics. In an effort to accommodate school-age children, they will be holding clinics at the Somerville Health Department for students on October 30th from 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. by appointment only. Call 1-855-472-3432. And on October 31st, from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., walk-ins, no appointments needed. DHEC does accept most insurance and no one will be turned away due to lack of insurance. Download the informational flyer from the Health and Safety page at dd2.org/backtoschool. Again, thank you for joining us this evening and make sure to follow us on the Dorchester District 2 Facebook page at Team DD2.
I'd like to call this meeting to order, and whether you're here in the room or listening to it, we appreciate your interest in this meeting tonight. At this time, I will need an approval of our agenda. I need that motion. Mr. Guthrie, thank you. Second. Ms. Hughes, second. Is there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please raise your hand. It is unanimous. Thank you. Now I'd like to turn the time over now to Vice Chair, Ms. Tupper.
Thank you. If you would like to join me in prayer, please bow your heads. Heavenly Father, please give us wisdom and guidance tonight and always, so that every decision made is in the best interest of our students. I also ask that you be with our entire District 2 family and help us work together for the good of all students. Keep us ever mindful of others. I ask this in your name. Amen.
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, at this time, we have our public comments that has to do with the agenda, and I noticed there's a big interest, especially this evening, and as the chair, I can increase the time so that we can try and get to all of our public comments. So, board members, if it's okay, I'd like to increase it by 10 minutes. And as I do several times a year, I would like to read, if I can find find it. I did have it right here. Hang on. Yeah, so that we're very clear. In order to conduct the meeting in an orderly and efficient manner, we ask that you honor the following guidelines. Public comments are welcome and encouraged. However, the board will not take immediate action or respond to public comments at this meeting. Any person wishing to address the board must register prior to the meeting. Comments must be regarding programs, policies, or procedures. No specific names are to be used in comments. Comments regarding an employee or student will not be heard in public session. Groups addressing the same topic should select one speaker. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per speaker. And it does say the board reserves the right, the board chair, and I have reserved the right to add 10 minutes. So at this time, we have Miss Natalie DeBose. Are you here?
Yes, ma'am.
And Natalie lives on 4166 Blair Road.
I have 2 sons that graduated from Somerville High School, and I have a daughter who is currently in middle school in Dorchester 2 District. To the school board tonight, I just want to say, nobody doubts that you have good intentions for our children, but our kids are suffering. They're falling behind in skills academically, developmentally, socially. They're having increased anxiety, increased depression. We have nutrition issues. There's vision issues, frequent headaches, and all because we're forcing them to sit behind a computer screen for 7 hours a day. To the teachers tonight, I want to say, we appreciate you, we see you, we support you, we know that you're dedicated, and we know that you're doing the best that you can with the hand that you've been dealt. We feel like you've always been underpaid in your profession, and now you're being underpaid and asked to do 2 jobs for that payment. To the parents, this is my most important message tonight. For months now, we've flooded the social media, we've made phone calls, we've attended meetings, all to voice our discontent with the virtual and hybrid learning. Those concerns seem to be falling on deaf ears. If we want those deaf ears to start listening with us, we should all, as parents in the Dorchester 2 School District, consider officially withdrawing your child from the district so that the district no longer receives the state funding they get for every virtual and e-learning student that they have. If we're going to be forced to do this job at home as parents, then the school district should not be taking credit for it. Let me just close this by saying, as you can tell, I am a nurse. I've been 10 years in the critical care field. I've sat at the bedside of dying patients with COVID. I've grieved with their families. There are safety measures that we can take to limit the exposure in the schools. The mask, the hand washing, teachers rotating between classes instead of students rotating between classes to lower the traffic in the hallways, negative pressure rooms, air purifiers, filters, decontaminating the rooms with ultraviolet interventions like we use at the hospital. On August the 17th, the CDC reported 207,882 deaths from COVID-19. Only 437 of those deaths were of people less than 24 years old. There's no reason our children should not be back in school face-to-face 5 days a week. Please understand that it is my opinion as a medical professional that you're using the wrong things to decide if we are going to return our children to school. DHEC incident rates, trends of incident rates, and percentages of positive cases shouldn't determine the academic fate. It should be the number of hospitalizations and deaths.
Thank you, Mr. Bose. Our next public comment comes from Rachel Smith at 210 Mohican Circle in Somerville.
am Rachel Smith. Thank you all for having me here, and I am so thankful for the chance to speak on behalf of my children, which is why I'm here, because I am their voice, and I am the only voice that they have. My son is a first grader at Newington Elementary, and while we have absolutely loved the teachers, the system that is in place, he has an IEP, and he is developmentally delayed, and he has suffered greatly just in this short time that we've been back in place. My fourth grader, on the other hand, tends to excel in school and takes great pride in school. She loves school. This has also, on the other extreme, been really hard on her because she is hard on herself. And not being able to know which assignments she's supposed to be doing when because of all the technical difficulties involved has really put a strain on her. She has asthma. My son, with the IEP, has sensory processing disorder. The mask requirements are very hard on them, but they have told me, Mommy, we can do this. They have been strong, but I see their weakness, and it breaks my heart as a mother, and I know that we can do better for all of our children. I love the recommendations of the nurse that was speaking, and I think that something like that should be greatly considered. We can do better for our kids. There's a huge elephant in the room as well that I want to speak about, and I know that's not necessarily the school's or the district's problem, but us as parents struggle to work and provide for these children that are going to school. So in turn, that puts stress on them trying to learn and trying to keep up with their own classes, knowing that their parents are struggling financially because of these schedules. It has crippled our income and our ability to work. Every month we wonder if we're going to be able to make the mortgage because I can't work like I used to. I know that we have to be safe, and I understand that. I just think that we can do it in a different way, in a better way. I have a concern as well for the psychological effect that social distancing and the crazy schedules have on our children, because I see it in mine. They're stressed and their grades suffer, and they're our future, and I think, as we all know, nothing is more important than that. So thank you all.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Next, we have Ms. Kamaima Hines, 107 South Maple Street.
Good evening, everyone. I have concerns. I'm a school bus driver. I've been working with the district for almost 17 years. I love what I do. I love my children, each and every one of them. My concern as a parent is that the plan that they set in play for these children to go 5 days a week it hurts. It hurts my heart. We have to have these children wearing these masks. We as bus drivers have to continue to wear the masks. We're sanitizing. We're trying to do the best that we can. But at the end of the day, these COVID-19 cases are rising. The district, children are getting sick, faculty are getting sick. What is the plan that y'all really have, not only to protect the students, but the ones that's out there on the front line? I'm out there on the front line every day, and I come to work faithfully. I don't mind getting out of my bed and coming to work. But at the end of the day, I want to know that I'm going home to my children, not sick, not afraid, because there's a lot of us out here that's afraid. I mean, we're losing drivers, monitors. People is just afraid. And we can't go to our supervisors because they don't have the answers, because they're waiting for answers to come from from the Department of Health, through y'all guys. We're not getting it. And I just want someone to really, please, give me the answers on what we're going to do to better this for our children. We talk about safety. Let's speak about our lives. Let's speak about these children's lives. We done lost students in the district. God knows we may have lost their family members. But the last thing I want is to be on a bus not knowing I have a sick child or a family member that was sick, and this child got sick. Now here it is, I got 13, 14 kids on the bus. What we gonna do? The bus gonna be quarantined? I'm gonna be out of work? I mean, we talking about the parents having to work. Yeah, I'm a single mother. It's hard. But at the end of the day, I still wanna live. So is there anything that's in the plan that's gonna really help us to get past this? Not knowing if a second wave is gonna come or not knowing how it's gonna hit us. Are we prepared for this? I mean, I really please, just give us some type of insight. You know, we doing all that we can. And I wouldn't mind to come out here and work. I'm filling in for others that don't come to work because of issues with the virtue with their children. Or if it's not that, they have elderly parents in their homes that they're caring for. They can't come to work because they don't want to risk it. They have younger children that they don't want to come to work because they don't want to risk it. What is it that we're going to do to make this better and make it more comfortable and make our minds be at peace that we're going to smoothly get through this instead of just trampling all the time? I mean, I'm not understanding it. I really don't. I can't even go to my supervisor. Matter of fact, he's here. I can't even go to him and ask him because he's doing as he's told, but at the same time, where that leads us. And I thank y'all for this, just coming in and being able to stress my feelings, and I hope that y'all take it into consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Hines. Our next individual is Ms. Drew McPhail at 1123 Mount Whitney Drive. Mr. Drew, thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen of the board. Sorry, my printer was messing up whenever I'm going to have to read off of this. But main reason I'm here today, I wanted to be here last week, or 2 weeks ago, but I was out of town, so I contacted a couple of people on the board to see how I could get my word out and what my concerns were. Well, I went on the online forum, the form that you're supposed to fill out to have your word heard or read, and I submitted a very long, well-written document for you guys to look over, and still to this day, I have not gotten one response from any one of you, from anybody, any teacher. No one has sent me an email. The only email that I got was to let me know that it was not read, or I got a couple texts from some friends of mine that are here on the board and in the room to let me know that that did not happen. Now, I'm a father of two here in the school board. I'm a son. My father is a retired principal. My mother is a retired English teacher. Okay, education is very strong in our family. My daughter's in 7th grade at Rawlings. My son's in 10th grade at Somerville. And up until 9th and 6th grade, we were in private school. We started off first year, and then we went to Somerville Catholic and Pinewood. And we were very happy with that, but then my daughter wanted to go to Rawlings because she got in for dance, and my son wanted to go to Somerville High School. Well, it's supposed to be the best district in the state, right? And we believe that, and I still honestly believe that to this day. But unfortunately, the way that you guys have handled this, I mean, our neighbors in Berkeley County, they're in school. Charleston, in school. Mount Pleasant, in school. Florida, Georgia, in school. Our children are suffering because of the choices that you guys are making. Now, to let you know, I know the last young lady who spoke talking about the fear, but I'm going to let you know, in our hospital system, my wife's in the hospital system, as Mrs. DeVos is here. Guess what? When I wrote this letter, there was only 3 COVID cases in all of Trident Hospital. None on life support. They have not had a ventilator in there for 3 months. Okay? Total cases for St. Francis System out of 6 different hospitals, they only have 30 positive cases. I mean, the choices that you guys make are the ones that are affecting our children. My daughter, who is a happy-go-lucky, beautiful young lady, and if you know her, she's got the biggest smile. Well, last weekend she came up to me, and like the whole weekend she was like down and out. I was like, I figured she had some friend problems or something like that. I said, what's wrong, baby? She's like, nothing. Well, later that night, Sunday night, she came to me crying. She's like, Dad, she's like, I'm scared. I'm like, what? She's like, I have a 61 in my class. She's a straight A student. She has a 61 in her class, and she's concerned about that. I said, baby, it's going to be okay. I just told her, I said, let her know, it's going to be okay. You're 7th grade, whatever that class is, that's not going to decide who you become. But the truth of the matter is that's not okay. It's not just my daughter, it's all of our daughters, all of our sons who are A and B students who can't, the whole platform is horrible. I mean, you can't, half the time it doesn't work, half the time they don't even check the children into class. I get phone calls almost weekly saying that my daughter wasn't there, and I know for a fact she was. So you guys got to do something. I mean, everybody else has stepped up and getting there, and it's time for you guys to think about our children, think about our future, and think about our community, because what you're hurting is the growth of our community, and they've been stagnant for about 3 months now. So
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. McPhail. Our next comment comes from Amber Hoteling at 144 Highweeds Plantation.
Good evening. My name is Amber Hoteling. I've been a parent in this district for 13 years now, and in all that time, I have never seen the amount of discourse that we are seeing right now. Tensions are high, emotions are strong, and everyone, board members, district officials, administrators, parents, teachers, and most importantly, our students, are utterly exhausted. I have 2 children, a senior at Somerville High School and a 2nd grader at Beach Hill. My children are loving and thriving in virtual. They are thriving. My son, normally at best, is a C student. He has nothing below a 98 in all of his classes right now as a senior who just made the decision to sign his life over to the Marine Corps. This is not a student who is struggling. Virtual, absolutely, 100% can work, but it's not going to work if the parents can't get together with the district and help them figure out how to make this work better. And that includes hybrid. Hybrid is a mess. I am so happy that we chose virtual for our students for the consistency, because I can't imagine being a parent of a hybrid student right now. I'm a calendar organized person, and I couldn't imagine putting those kinds of schedules on my calendar and figuring out how to make it work. But students can thrive in virtual. My 2nd grader can run that computer better certainly than I can. They can do this. I was raised not to complain about the meal unless you're willing to cook the next one. So right now, I am seeing a whole lot of complaining about what's going on and 0 offers of solution other than get it back to normal. There is no normal right now. Much like the world is a totally different place post 9/11, we are a totally different world post-pandemic, and we're not even post-pandemic yet. Everything our kids are going to encounter from this day forward is going to be different. There is no back to normal right now. Virtual should become a new normal for the students who are able to do that. Hybrid needs to be improved. But again, we can't fix it if everyone can't stop just yelling at each other and not offering up any solutions. And this isn't anything that I wrote down, but it's no secret that I have a lot of opinions. I don't keep them to myself, and I'm very vocal about them, but I will not complain about something that I am not willing to get my hands dirty and fix, which is why I've been in several meetings with Dr. Harrison and several phone calls with Mr. Pye, and in contact with every board member on this sitting in front of me today. I don't complain about what I'm not willing to fix. I am willing to fix this, and I hope the rest of the parents will join me.
Thank you. And we do, again, want to apologize because you were out in the hall last time and we did not know that you were when we called your name, so I'm glad you were able to. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. You bet. Thank you. Our next individual is Mr. Philip Hall, 5058 White Cedar Road.
All right, thank you. This is my 4th time speaking. I just want to reference last time I brought up the survival rates for people that were in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and I think it got down to around 94% when you were 70 or above. And as far as why our children are not in school 5 days face-to-face. There was a couple arguments that was brought up that, well, what if we have to consider them bringing it home to their elderly parents or their grandparents. The flu's been around for how many years? And that's killed more people last year alone, in the flu season, 188 children died from the flu. This year, the entire time COVID's been going on, it's been less than 100. So I'm not understanding, again, where that argument, I believe every argument that's made to keep our children at home or keep our children virtual, there's 10 more saying that they need to be back in school for the mental, for the physical, for the emotional reasons. I'm glad it's, if virtual works for some parents, fine, but it doesn't work for everybody. The last individual that spoke did bring up that we have discourse. We need to remember that. We need to treat each other with respect here and in social media sites and to all of you. As far as the new normal, no, that's not how we raise our children. I was in during 9/11. We will be back to normal at some point in the near future. We will get back to normal. It's our job to get our kids back to normal. As far as, we have to do right by our kids. Our kids are suffering right now. Every week that goes by that they're at home, they're losing social skills. They're losing every other skill that I've talked about up here time and time again. And at the end of the last meeting, it was brought up that inferring that our teachers are not doing enough. Every meeting I started up here, I said, thank you to all our teachers. I know just this morning though, however, I spoke to a teacher who of course will remain unnamed, and she told me straight that our children need to be back 5 days a week full time. But there are teachers that won't do it. And there are school board members and there are people that are afraid that they are going to walk out. And I have no problem saying unapologetically, like I said, that bus driver, she does her job. She comes to work because others won't. And I salute her. The teachers that come to their work and do their job because others won't, I salute them. But any teacher that will walk out on our children, then they can keep walking. They don't need to be a teacher in this district. They are weak, and I don't want them teaching my children. So I just want to thank you for all your time, and thank you for adding the extra minutes for everybody to be able to get their words in. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. And now we have Jordan Hall, 58 White Cedar Road.
Good evening, and thank you for allowing me to speak again. I've spoken before you before, and I'm here to speak not just for my family, but for those who cannot make it and are unable to for whatever reason. These past weeks, I have definitely learned a lot about our school, and I definitely thank you all for educating us because we don't know it all about how our school board works and our district. But I've learned not just about that, but our teachers, our parents, and most importantly, our children. Our children within DD2 who are struggling more than ever with schoolwork and technology and social interaction. I've been contacted by several parents since our last one, nurses and teachers with heartbreaking issues that some of them do not want to come up and say because of the fear of bullying. It's around with teachers. It's a huge thing, and it's bigger than what I even imagined. We are a family now, just to switch that subject, we're talking about single parents and parents at home that are both bringing in an income. Currently right now, for one of our children, we're paying over $540 a month just for extended day, just for an after-school care, so we can work our job and provide that income. We usually paid approximately about $140 a month, max. So I can only imagine what that does for more families. What are single parents supposed to do? It's heartbreaking seeing this happen. Just like the lady who spoke before, there's months they were possibly unable to make their mortgage. That's a lot of stress to have on a parent to their children. Ongoing issues with schoolwork being turned in online, however, later showing the work did not follow the submission and given a 0. I will say my children's teachers have been fantastic about reaching out, but it's definitely a lot of back and forth in order to get that handled. It's amazing to see these football and volleyball games going on. It's great. We're seeing our kids out there actually doing something, and they're tackling face to face. However, our kids still can't attend school 5 days a week. That blows my mind. Even after, I've even heard from particular parents that even after their children were told they possibly might have been around someone who were positive for COVID, they were just told to watch the symptoms. That's great, because that's what we've been doing for how many years now? If our kid's sick, we don't send them to school. If they're not feeling great, we don't send them to school. I think we're all adults, we can handle that. Again, you know, here we are though without a choice for our own children. And to all those that are watching and all those that are voting, please vote accordingly. You know, our future really depends on it with the school board. I do believe that we need fighters. And I know Ms. Barbara Crosby is one of our big ones, and that's what we really, really need. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Hall. And next, we have Ms. Maryrita Watson at 137 Northport Avenue.
Good evening. You know, I have notes, and then I just have other words. I'm not sure where to go with this, but I'm going to start here. I am a 4th and a 5th grade teacher of Read 180. I'm a 33-year veteran of education, and I'm the president of the Somerville Education Association. I am up here speaking for the teachers that work so hard every day. And in this room, I don't feel support from a lot of the parents who are speaking, and I am not only speaking for myself. I'm speaking for many, many teachers who confide in me. We are not the villain. We didn't make this pandemic. We had nothing to do with creating it. We are concerned for our students. We are doing our best to get them the education that they deserve. But we have to be safe. We are concerned for ourselves. We're worried. I'm worried for the people next door to me in the other building. I don't want to see anybody die. And I know that that sounds dramatic, but it's happening. And in this scenario, we have been pitted, us against them. It's parents against teachers. And we are supposed to work together. We are stronger together. That's always what we've said, stronger together. And this is not what's happening right now. It is a fight. Every school board meeting I come to, we have to get up and fight this battle every time. There are so many other subjects that we would like to talk about, curriculum, things that we would like to see instituted into our schools, but we have to talk about this every time. And now we have parents coming up here villainizing the teachers because we don't want to go face to face. Now there are some teachers who do. I honestly would love to be face to face. There is not probably one that doesn't. Although there are some who love virtual, they have found their thing, and I think that that is a great idea that we do keep the virtual. But there are others, like the old ones like me, who are not ready for that, and we want face-to-face. But it just can't happen. If you see, we are overcrowded. Our school district has been underfunded for so long, and we are overcrowded. And if you try to take students and put them into those classes, it's going to create an unsafe situation. We need to work together. We are not the bad guy. Please, let's get this together and have parents and educators working as one instead of this divisive.
Thank you very much. And just to conclude, I appreciate as the chairman the civility, even though there are very, very different feelings here tonight, the civility that you came and approached us with. We're all very exhausted, and we all are trying to do what's best, I promise. And we look to our superintendent and to his people for guidance and their professionalism and their expertise. But I want to thank everyone that spoke tonight for your genuineness and civility. At this time, we need to approve the minutes of the October 12th meeting, 2020. Mr. Farnsworth and made the motion, and Mr. Guthrie seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. It is unanimous. And at this time, we'll turn it over to Mr. Pyer, Superintendent, for his report.
All right, thank you. Hope you can hear me out there. All right, kind of continuing along, I want to make sure that I think everybody realizes at the last meeting, we told them we were in the hybrid model, which is the second phase of the three-phase program that's opposite the virtual academy. Phase 1 was the e-learning. Phase 2 is the hybrid. Phase 3 is full 5-day face-to-face. So it's the same model. It's step 2 of the 3-step model. And of course, you'll be hearing health information that comes out, depending on what day it is, what time of day it is. It keeps changing, and unfortunately, not for the better. And they're calling for a second wave. It may be worse than the first wave. We've heard this before. We're now beginning to hear it even from the federal government, who has been in denial of it. They're actually now saying the same thing. So you just can't believe everything you hear on the media. You got people dying on Channel 2. You got people celebrating that nobody in their families even touched COVID. So where do you believe this? I mean, how do you know what's what? We have the awesome job of educating our children. That's what we were all trained to do, hired to do, and I think do an excellent job in this district. That has been hampered by the recent pandemic, which the teacher just, Ms. Watson, mentioned, that we didn't cause this. We can't fix it. I talk to superintendents all the time. No one has a silver bullet. I've heard time and time what the other counties are doing. They're different than us. Go look at the statistics. They don't have the high rate that we've got. We've got a higher rate. They ask them how many children in their classes. Try 15, 17. That's their full class. We would have 30 in a class. 30 in a class, you cannot social distance, no matter how many sprayers you have or whatever. It's just not going to be effective. That's our issue, is social distancing. It's not the teaching. I think every teacher that I know of really would rather be face-to-face. It's far superior. There is nothing that should or could replace it. However, because of the health risk, we cannot be reckless also and decide we're going to bring children back in. But then the officials, as the bus driver mentioned, when they're not there, no kid can get to school without a bus driver driving the bus. It's not going to happen. We're short. There are no substitutes. The parents are scared to come in. They won't sub. We have 500 on the list. We have 123 active subs. This is a huge district with nearly 2,000 teachers. So if 123 went out tomorrow morning, either because they were having to quarantine or either they had COVID, we could easily hit that number in any particular time and be short subs. And yes, we have other staff, especially at the elementary levels, that maybe could pitch hit. But the high school teachers are stretched thin as they're teaching both virtual and the hybrid. They're doing both by choice. They weren't asked to do that. Some of the other counties, if you've been reading the news, the teachers are highly upset. They feel they're watering down their instruction because they're being asked to teach more than one way, and they think it's very unfair for them to do the two different teaching styles in one room, one time, and they feel all their children are losing. We feel that with half the class in, whether it be 15 students, it reduces the class size. That you mentioned private schools, that's their number. All the private schools I know limit their classes to 15. District 4, Woodland High School limits their classes to 20. Richland 2's high schools, 20. Our high schools, 30 are what we have in our classes. Now, it could be a class with 20 because of the nature of the class, but there's another class down the hall with 35. So that's what we're dealing with. And so numbers are killing us with this. I have 51 years experience and I've been highly successful, and I don't think I'm a dummy. But the bottom line is I don't know what to do with this. To say I'm overwhelmed is putting it mildly. I depend on 62 administrators that have the pulse of their faculties and their parents, hopefully, in the community, as we sit and we talk repeatedly about what can we do. Nobody cracks the whip harder than I do. You've got to find a way. The children have to be back at school. This is ridiculous. I'm tired of talking about it, to be honest with you. I want to talk about what we're doing for the future. What is the new normal going to be? If it's going to be a new one or the old one, whatever it is, let's get on with what we need to do. So I live and feel this every day, and it gets stronger and stronger. I didn't ask for this, as Ms. Watson said, but I feel beat up over it. We have a divisive bunch of parents. Well, let them go virtual. They don't want to go virtual. They want their children face-to-face, and they're willing to do it the steps that we've come up with, phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. So how can then we do virtual, hybrid, and virtual academy? We cannot do that. We don't have the staffing. We don't have the knowledge. We just don't have it. We can't do that. And I don't know of any district that's doing that that's successful. And when you hear stories about what other districts are doing, we have the numbers on what they're doing. Their superintendents tell me. And when a school district is sitting there full face-to-face, they're telling me 55% of the students who are not in virtual academy and their virtual academies are face-to-face, which means 45% must be doing the hybrid model or some form of it. So it's not quite as clear-cut as you are led to believe. And of course, the results aren't in on how well they're doing anyway academically, as their teachers are publicly complaining about having to be overteach. Their teachers are exhausted, having to do multiple plans with different groups. There's no differentiation. If your child's in a social studies or history class, you could be the brightest child in the room, and you have a child that has lots of, they struggle. They're in the same room. Tell me how the teacher's going to teach. Up the middle, and hope and pray she's getting most of them. There's no way she can individualize 30 children doing all these different things. So I am defending our teachers. They didn't ask for this. They should not be fussed. I do get some ugly emails. Yes, I do. Not praising them. I might be praising them now, but I've received some. Tell them to get off their butts and start teaching. If they don't want to work, find a job somewhere else. That's not suitable. Without them, you have no district. You will not have anything. So those of you who want to go to other places, the door's open. Go if you're not happy. We're doing the best that we can do with what we have. And I stand by it. I have the best principals any district has, and I have the best teachers. And I like to think I have the best families and the best students. This is a troubling time that people are all blaming other people. And I'm really, it's getting old, and as Ms. Watson says, it's time to get on the same page. One of the parents brought up solutions. I want to hear a solution. Doing what Berkeley and Charleston's doing is not the solution. I've had that as an option from day one. It's still on the table. I can do it tomorrow morning. That's not the problem. But it's not going to be effective here because we have different dynamics than they have. The health conditions, the class sizes, and the teacher buy-in to feel comfortable to do it. I've got 3 obstacles that will torpedo us down to nothing. So let's just say in the hospital, the parent that spoke was the nurse. If enough of the nurses felt uncomfortable, the doctors, if they were to feel that, and they have the right to, what if they said, we're not going to be responders, we're not going to come to the hospital? Who's going to take care of the sick and needy? We're dependent on these people. And so I'm here to defend them, to say we're doing the best we can. Our goal is face-to-face. I was hoping by tonight to be able to announce it. I was just really sure 3 or 4 weeks ago we were headed there. I felt really good about what I was seeing. 6 or 8 weeks of all the indicators coming together, talking with the other superintendents, sitting here massaging these schedules left and right, especially the elementary piece. That's easier for us to do. However, we've had this recent spike. What do you do? You heard Ms. Watson say how scared she knows hundreds of teachers she is in contact with. I've shared with her their fears. The bus driver, the fear. What are you doing to protect us? And she's exactly right. That's time that was brought up too, because we have 3,800 employees. And we are not a system without being a team. It's Team Dorchester, all 3,800. Ms. Watson's a valuable, wonderful teacher. But our bus driver is just as valuable. I can't do without either one of them. So they should have the right to have the same kind of protection and coverage, and that is what we're trying to do. But adding more kids to the plate with more things is going to defeat the very thing. She doesn't feel protected now. What is she going to feel like with 75 children on the bus? not too protected, I don't think. At least that's what I got from a conversation. But with that said, that gets us down to what I wanted to get to. Ms. Canarins will give us an update. She's the assistant superintendent over secondary. She will give us an update on our recent health data.
No.
No. An actress? Who?
No, go ahead. Ms.
Okay, I'll go on with my
We're
report.
not going with that.
at-
Please save that comment for somewhere else.
I'll go on with my report. Thank you, Mr. Pye. Board members, we just wanted to provide you a very brief update on our data matrix. I'm sure, as you are aware, and may have been contacted over the weekend, we do continue to monitor our data every week, sometimes daily. Our school data, we monitor daily so that we know what's involved. But I'm sure that you've all seen that our county has moved from a medium spread risk to a low-high spread risk category. One of our matrices went from a medium last week into a high, giving us a 10.4% positive rate. So in delving into the data, talking with the other superintendents, as Mr. Pye has said, in the consortium, who've also fluctuated from that medium back to the high category, looking daily, hourly sometimes with Nurse Santa Maria, our numbers for student and staff and how they have been affected either with positive testing or with having to be quarantined as close contacts. We feel like the best course of action for us at this point in time is to continue our hybrid model through our current hybrid model through Friday, November the 6th. We will again continue to monitor this model. We will continue to monitor the data and hopefully be able to come back down within the next reporting cycle or the next one after that. I also, too, want to give you a brief update to piggyback on something Mr. Pye said. We have been working diligently with our principals, with our other administrators, with our district team, in order to identify even more groups of our students, smaller groups of our students that we can invite to come back, those strugglers, the ESOL population, other individuals who are high risk, our prevention and intervention children at the middle and high school levels. We have a plan ready and in place, and just as soon as we swing back down to the medium category, we are ready to execute that plan in order to bring, while being safe, so that we're not overcrowding our bus drivers, so that we're not overcrowding our other areas, to bring those students back in as a gradual return to our full face-to-face model, which is something that we are intent on getting back to just as soon as it becomes safe for our students, our faculties, our staff, and all of our District 2 families. Thank you very much.
Does anybody have any questions for Ms. Canarins? I do want to just ask one thing.
Yes, ma'am.
It seems like we're getting some feedback that the board doesn't get, but we're hearing about maybe computer glitch. How is that responded to when they get a complaint?
I
We
will
monitor
defer-
that hourly in our district, and
Okay.
those have just about stopped, except second grade, where we're using those older machines that we have, and we've been replacing them with the extras we had in the school and some others we're buying new to fill it in. And I think we're well over halfway of all second grades having that computer. And today, Dr. Huggins, I've not spoken to you. I spoke to some ITs. I'm putting an order tomorrow for whatever company can get them to us. We don't care what brand it is. I'm buying it with the CARES money. I want computers, new computers, every child's hand, like now. I'm not waiting on Dell to come in. That's a real good one. We're getting it very fast. But the bottom line is, it's no problem. A computer's a computer. I run all of our programs. It's first class. The teachers are using the HP, so if they're good enough for a teacher, why would it not be good for a second grader? So my guess is let's get those second grade ones in their hands. That's the only problem I'm aware of. If anybody else is having a new one with a problem, we replace them. I talked to an elementary principal this afternoon about something totally different. He was late getting back to me because he was delivering 2 computers to homes where the children had an issue. He took them to the children's home. They were in the virtual academy. They took the computers to their home and worked with them on it to make sure it was done. We have a couple of sites that we're having children tutored in the afternoon through our business partners, and they had some computer issues and glitches. We've sent our technicians to those people, business partners. We're about whoever wants to help children, we're going to help you get it done. So we've told them our numbers, work orders. It's on the web for any parent experiencing any problem. If it's an instructional type of thing, there's a call that you make. If it's dealing with the machine itself, there's a number to call. Within 24 hours, I'm told everything has been fixed or can be fixed. It's that fast because we're dealing now with all new computers, and all of them are here except a few more, a couple hundred second grade ones are still yet to make it here.
What about, we've gotten emails and heard comments about attendance being marked absent when they're present, and about trying to submit online work that doesn't get through. Is that a technical support issue, or is that an issue they need to be talking with their teachers and their principal about?
That's why we have the teachers. The teachers are talking to these children every day through Teams or whatever. At some point, somebody needs to notify the school. That's why we have the principals there. My child is in third grade for school, Miss Jones's room. She's obviously teaching away, and my child is not able to connect. Please let her know. The teacher's notified immediately. No child is punished over that at all, any way, shape, or form. But we have kids, especially older ones. This is a great way to cut school and get away with it because we can use it as a technical issue. The state is mandating that we take attendance. That is a mandate no matter what model you're using, and we're doing it virtually every period. So every hour we're checking that. So it's even harder there because of the accredited courses. We can't interrupt in the...
Mr. Pye, I just wanted to make a comment just to kind of piggyback on what you were saying. I would like to commend the technology team because I know just a few weeks ago there were even some daycares that were having issues. They were not able to get on their computers, or they were being dropped off the computers when they were working with our children on the days that they were not in school or before or after their school programs were beginning. And a team of technicians went to the daycares to make sure that they were able to get on and make sure that everything was working. They stayed with them to make sure everybody got on and everybody was working. So, I mean, I think it's just maybe in a situation where maybe we're not getting to the right people to get these problems taken care of. But I know they are out there working and doing those things, so.
Again, we don't know about it. We don't know about it. We can't do anything about it. I don't know of any story where people have called repeatedly 2 or 3 days and no one's responded. I've not heard that. And if it is, that really does not fare well with me at all. Everybody needs to communicate, and especially under these circumstances, a teacher cannot teach and a child cannot learn, period, if they can't connect to anything. We've got to communicate. And right now, that's the only model we have that we can lean on heavily. And because we have to make sure that it's user-friendly. We have to make sure that they know how to access this. And I think all over the website, do we not have directions that turn on the machine? There's the button on the upper left-hand corner. Do this, do this. It directs you directly through how to get into Teams or whatever model you're looking at, and then gives you numbers to call. And we're supposed to have people, paying people to man those phones to answer anything a parent has about the computers. Again, I'm not hearing anything they can't get through or whatever. I'm just reminding you please check with your schools first. Give your teachers, the principals, a chance. If not, the district office will respond. And Canty is our outsourced company. They're just outstanding. And I know they will do it. So, but they can't do it. They don't know about it. And they're telling me the machine, they do surveys every month with our teachers. And they're not getting any feedback that they're having lots of problems. The teachers aren't showing it. It's like they're getting a 4.8 rating out of a 5. That's pretty doggone good in this type of environment with so many computers out there. Bandwidth, we're not getting any concerns about that. The hotspots, we keep asking every day. Please let us know if you're having any internet problems. We're working with getting people internet service. The hotspots, Again, I don't know of any place that's not happening. We've been very aggressive with this and very fortunate that, that we've got the teams that we have in place. Dr. Huggins, did I leave off anything that needs to be said?
No, sir, I don't think so. You did a very good job.
Okay, but there was a question at one time, and if you're experiencing difficulty, I wish you would tell him what, who, and what school. We will have it fixed in the morning.
Let me know and I'll be glad to look into it for you.
Yeah, it's not to be the dead horse, but the problem is, I have a medical chiropractic clinic. My wife works at the hospital. She's managed at the hospital.
Right.
We work all day long, as most of the parents do. And when the children have difficulty with the online stuff, we're not there. We're having to provide for the family, and we won't find, I don't know until I get that phone call at the end of the day from school that says, your child is absent from this to this. And I know that she was not absent. So it's
Okay.
there's a
What age is the child?
7.
Oh, there's no excuse in that. 7-year-old.
7th grade.
Salvers, if they're 7, please tell me somebody's going to the house to check on them. Okay. Well, if something's bad wrong, then that should be dealt with. And you said your child was at Rollins, wasn't it? Okay, Rollins tomorrow, we'll get all over it. But in other words, the student needs to feel very comfortable that she's not going to be considered a dummy or she's complaining. She needs to be able to get help within 5 minutes.
She made one B last year, all that.
Well,
Okay.
things get tougher as they go up, but again, they need to feel like they are being looked at and listened to and worked with.
Okay. Ms. Crosby had something.
Mr. Pye, getting away from the technology question, could you address the question that I've been asked? Our kids are going half a day, basically. Like, she's taking half the class in the morning and half the class in the afternoon. So basically what we're getting is our kids are getting a half a year education. How do we plan to address that?
Well, right now, we went 6 months, they got no education. Well, I just explained the situation we're in. There's no way I can do any better than that. It's either half a day or no day. So that's really the choice, and I believe you were the one that suggested the half day, and we made it possible. Yes, ma'am.
No, I suggested that we go to, through second grade,
No, ma'am. Forward.
through second grade.
Just thought I'd mention that. For whatever reason it is, no, you asked we could raise it up, because parents and teachers all said we would like to do it, and the entire school needs to be on the same schedule with all this in and out half-time. But that's here, we'll talk about it later, but I don't have an answer to that question. Again, that's the impossible. Is the sky gonna fall tomorrow? I can't answer that question.
Can you answer that question in relation to standards and testing and expectations as far as that goes that the state is gonna
We're
have to
teaching all the
implement?
standards, everything. So many districts are like us, are less than us. We're in the top 20 districts as far out of the 80. We're in the upper 25% for our delivery system. So whether it's flawed or not, 75% of the state's behind us. And then I'm telling you, I know problems of some of the others who are doing various things. They're really having some issues. They're not making it publicly known, but they're telling us we're really having a hard time and even considering going back, all the way back to e-learning, which I'm opposed to doing. I'm just tell you that now. This is a long journey. Don't want to go back. I think backwards is definitely out of my equation, but I don't ever want to say never. I don't control the health conditions, but it's not be something that I'm advocating. So my sights are straight ahead with my 62-member team of administrators who have the pulse of 3,800 employees. And so that's how we're making our decisions. And it seems to be heavily in favor of what we're doing. It doesn't mean we can't change. We tried to modify because all we can hear is any face-to-face would be better than none. You do it, you can still have problems. There is no silver bullet that's going to top face-to-face. There is none.
I noticed
So-
when we came in tonight that she took our temperature. And you remember, I mentioned once before, I said, if we could have somebody take the temperature of the car riders, before they even get out the car, that would make it a little safer, or that, and the teachers could also be tested. I mean, it wouldn't take but just a second to do that. And even the bus drivers, they could test the kids when they step up on the bus. If they've got a temperature, they can't get on the bus. And that was a suggestion I had said, as far as curtailing it or watching what came into the school.
Yes.
So you might want to consider that, doing the temperature checks.
We have.
Yeah, we still have that same issue, though, that the social distancing issue, that if we bring everybody back full face-to-face, 5 days a week, we still have that social distancing issue.
That's the
That is
issue.
mandated by the state, that we have no
We had no
control
social
over.
distancing, bring them all back tomorrow, and if parents are okay
So
with
we
it,
have no control
they'll do
over
like
that.
our neighboring county. You sign a piece of paper saying, I understand the liability and risk to my child, but, I waive that, will not hold the district responsible because I want my child's education to be important, and I don't believe the health data, so therefore I would like that right to do that. That's what they did. I've checked with attorneys from the state level on down, that paper is worthless. The minute a child dies or is severely injured, the parent can sue that school system for all kinds of money for negligence because that will not hold up in court. I've already checked it out. So that's, I think, not an option that we plan to use in this district. Ma'am, you'll have to wait after the meeting and then address it. I'll come back and you can address me then. Okay, because we're not trying to discuss you, we're trying to finish the presentation. Anything else from the board on that before I finally get to the speaker we keep postponing?
Just mention about the testing. I didn't mean to say
Oh, I'm
stage.
sorry,
I
the
meant
testing.
The testing is what I meant.
Right now, the State Department of Education is fighting from doing any kind of state testing because of the way things are being done all the state. What kind of accurate information are you going to get? They did that last year. The federal government, can any minute do it or not do it. Some states have already been denied it. We don't know if any that's been accepted, but of course, ours was just turned in. The problem is we have the EOC office that was established by the legislature some years ago, and they kind of monitor the State Department of Education, and they've come out strongly. They support state testing. So I don't know where that's going, where the legislature in the end may be asked to make that decision of how they do with accountability or not. So that's going to be a big political battle probably this spring. But right now we've told all our teachers, plan to teach your very best, no matter if there's a test or not. The test is at the end of the year, I gave it my best. I filled in as many gaps as I could. I think I gave a stellar performance as a teacher to the district. That's all we can ask them to do. And everybody doesn't have the same skill set sometimes. People have a lot of personal issues in their lives and other things that could be tugging at them. But we have everything at their disposal, resources on how to teach virtually, how to teach hybrid. We're constantly in their rooms monitoring them, monitoring lesson plans, all that. Some of them don't like it, but the whole point is we want to be able to tell the public we are constantly preparing to take the test. Whether we take it or not, that's the political question, but I am concerned. I don't think it's fair to give a test when you have all these models going on. You won't know if the data, how accurate it is. But the other side of it is you can't make decisions on children's lives when you don't have the data. So it's a double-edged sword again, just like it is with the health conditions and social distancing. It's just the same thing. You can't have one without the other. Unfortunately, it's either one or the other, and that's not acceptable in most cases. Okay, thank you. Did I answer it all right? Okay, I believe at this time Dr. Harrison should have some good news for us. He is over Dr. Harrison's in charge of the Virtual Academy. There's over 8,800 students in there. He's constantly monitoring that, working with our 600+ teachers. Now, all of them aren't full-time. Some may only be teaching one virtual class, but he has all of those things. So with that, he's going to tell you about what's happening in the program.
Good evening, members of the board, Madam Chair, Mr. Pye. I'm happy to stand up here and shed some good news about the Virtual Academy. My presentation, I'm going to start out with a video, but before we start the video, I would like to say thank you to Mr. Packett, who is an assistant principal at Fort Dorchester, along with one of their teachers, Mr. Kilby, who you'll see in the video was one of our virtual teachers of the month. They helped put this video together along with the help of all our principals in submitting some some videos of their virtual teachers. So would like to just give you a quick tour of the Virtual Academy virtually. Rick Harrison, Director of the Dorchester County School District Virtual Academy. Today I'm honored to give you a quick glimpse and insight into the Virtual Academy and all the great things that we have going on. Would like to just start out by saying that our principals as well as our teachers have been doing an outstanding job at the schools, and a lot of great things going on and a lot of efforts to make sure that our students are being successful in the Virtual Academy. Without any further ado, welcome to the Virtual Academy.
Actually, we're going to do it just right in the chat. So, and the purpose of this is, as you'll notice,
2, 3. Oh, yeah! If we have no questions, Friday Eve, I see that, Jeremiah.
Because look at all of these adjectives. So when I went to Chick-fil-A after I was done here,
What I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna grab these, and I'm gonna switch them.
knobs, and I looked at the new baby clothes. The baby pajamas were very wincy.
I'll show you how to get into it, and then you can get into it from there.
Take one chasse, then step leap. Okay, grab your graphic organizer, put it next to you so that we can continue working on our sentence about the Okay, remember our game is like Simon says. So Miss Dixon is going to say some words, and if I say a verb, which is an action word, you have to act it out.
It's nice to know that even though I'm logging in alone from home, I know that I'm not alone, and that many of my peers, along with my teacher, are there to support me.
As a parent working from home, I can see my child enjoying class through Virtual Academy.
My experience with the Virtual Academy has been positive. Not only have I enjoyed my experience, but I can also acknowledge that the individual accountability in this new learning environment meets my needs and challenges me in a new way.
It's nice to see my child get excited to log in and see their teacher and classmates on a daily basis.
The Virtual Academy was the best option for my child and our family. They are able to log in daily and receive feedback throughout the learning process in a comfortable environment.
Now that DD2 is a one-to-one school district, my child and I can easily keep up with the workload and communicate with my children's teacher through Outlook in Teams.
Dorchester District 2's Virtual Academy has allowed me to perform at my optimum level through these uncertain times. This new option allows me the opportunity to continue to perform at my personal best. DD2's mission to put students first is evident in the uncompromising efforts to meet my needs as a virtual student.
No matter the instructional platform, from virtual classrooms to virtual parent advisory meetings, Dorchester School District 2 continues to lead the way, every student, every day, through relationships, relevance, and rigor.
thought a video would speak louder than I ever could speak about the great things that we have going in the Virtual Academy and how hard our teachers are working, and to see what is actually going on in a virtual classroom. You have to see it. Yeah, if you're in the class, if you're walking down the hall, you hear it, you feel it. You can sense that learning is going on. The only difference is that the kids are on the screen; they're not sitting in the desk. What you saw in the video also was some of the feedback from the parent survey that we sent out to our virtual academy. Overwhelmingly positive experience feedback that we got from our parents. You saw some yes/no answers. You saw on a scale from 1 to 5, and those responses were 3.9, 3.8. So very heavily on the highly agree with the statement that was made. And the voices that you heard were actually, those are reading some of the responses that came in on the surveys from our parents. I would also like to let the board know that we have formed a parent advisory committee, and Ms. Hotelling, who is here tonight and spoke earlier, she is on our advisory committee. We've already met twice. And we have plans to, right now, meet every week, even though we're going to move to bi-weekly for our next meeting, so not this Thursday, but next week we'll be meeting again and just discussing what the Virtual Academy parents see, taking their feedback, how can we make improvements, what areas do we need to see, making sure that we basically have a pulse on what is going on virtually in our classrooms. So that is going on. You saw the Teachers of the Month for last month recognized in the video. This Friday, we will go out. We'll recognize our 3 new Teachers of the Month for this month. So that will be going on this week. And I encourage everyone to take a look at our Facebook page where we are updating things that are going on in the Virtual Academy. And then I was going to open it up to see if you all had questions.
And I apologize, Dr. Harrison, because I actually don't have a question about Virtual Academy. This is more probably to Mr. Pye. Just going back to the earlier discussion, so last week was our first week with full K through 5th on half days. Have you gotten, would you say, a good amount of feedback or anything you can share as far as what parents are saying? Is everything going pretty smoothly?
The only thing that I'm aware of is what we do when we first said we would move here is the child care issues this has caused. And of course, the people who want to face-to-face has made it clear that this is a phony face-to-face. They don't want any part of this, whether their child's elementary or not. This is a poor excuse for that. Now, when you take those variables out, what's left is mainly what I get from teachers, and I'm not, everything is a struggle when you change to get things done. Change their whole life around. But I have heard positive remarks on the size of the classes. So an elementary class that already had 15 now has 7. Yes, they're only there 2 hours and 45 minutes, but she's a teacher with 7 children, and she's able to double, triple her attention to the children. And then when she's, doing other things within their assignments on the computer, is really supposed to be application of what they learned in the classroom. She's doing in charge of the new learning 5 days a week. Every day the children are getting the consistency of that. And the principals were monitoring. It's still kind of early, and you're going to have glitches with everything we've done. It's like starting school over again. The first 2 weeks are never pleasant, no matter what you do. Even back in the normal, we had lots of concerns and complaints. So it's to be expected. We are monitoring that, however, and I would not have, in other words, we base it on those kinds of results. If we feel there's a match of what we're hearing from the parents who are opposed to it, and they're outnumbering severely the ones who are for it, and the teachers are not seeing any significant gain, then why would we put everybody, bus drivers, why would we put teachers, parents, everybody through it? Go back to what you were doing, and, we'll just wait until we can do full face-to-face. It's what we had heard. Lots of parents lobbied for that through emails and text messages and things, as well as the teachers really lobbied. We really consulted the principals. I had every principal go down and talk to every 3rd through 5th grade teacher in the district. The district is now considering this, that then they can do it. What is your pleasure? Do you think this is going to be effective? What do you think? None of this. Well, I don't know. Yes or no. is what we wanted, and it was overwhelming yes. And so I have to go on what's been told to me, and we've asked you in the last couple of board meetings, including tonight, any parent concerns must start with the teacher. If you can't get your teacher to communicate or respond, you then go to the administration of the school. These people can make all kind of miracles happen. I can't tell you what some of these principals have worked out with children's schedules and things that have helped with child care. A lot of miracles have been performed. Yet again, there's some that can't be. They're just what they were. And they would have been the same no matter what model we went to, because it's just, child care is expensive, it's hard to find, and a lot of parents aren't comfortable with their children being with someone else. And so with us going one-to-one, there would be more reliance in the afternoons on using technology. And again, without parent support, that could have been anyway an issue that we would be dealing with. So we're trying to look at it from all angles, but that's one in which it was done in good faith, but it's not something we had to do. And I think I mentioned that last time, that if anybody didn't want to do it, please make my day, because I'm making the transportation department do this. This did not come from them. This is a stretch for them to pull this off, and they're doing it with social distancing. The numbers worked out. The parents have been wonderful bringing their children to school, so the buses have not been overloaded like we thought it would be. They really are helping us with that. And of course, the 8,800 virtual students also aided in that too. But remember, we have to keep it down to a certain percentage. And all of our buses were carrying 3 students to a seat. And we just can't do that anymore. Not currently, and that's a state law, a mandate from the state. That did not come from us, and those of you that follow the news had to see where Berkeley County got in trouble with that, and their buses were threatened to be taken from Berkeley County, since they're state-owned buses, because that is a state mandate from the state superintendent, and they mean business. I was surprised that they would go to that extent, but you know, we've had the governor say that if you didn't do this, didn't do that, they were going to pull support. We had the thing come out, the bill that was, you know, that was, I guess, went to court, and about giving monies to private parochial schools or whatever versus what they think are public school money, separation of church and state. All these issues are coming to surface. They've been in the past, but somehow or another they're all making headlines now as people are grappling for ways. And I know the reason he did it, at least I believe that, is that he wants all children learning. And the parents' choice is whatever school it is, he wants them to do it. The other side of the coin is we don't get any public funding like we should get in this district in particular. So if you can't give us money, when you find new money, why are you giving it to sources you don't have to give it to? It's a good gesture, but it's take care of what you're supposed to be doing and find some more money. And so, as you know, they didn't even do the budget. So we've got a lot of issues with, again, the political makeup of the different things that we hear and see. It's a national problem. It is not local, and it's certainly in pockets all over the state are having lots of issues.
Yeah, there's so many different angles, and I'd like to add maybe just a little bit of commentary, because I want folks to know, Dr. Raphael, Mr. Hall, Ms. Hall, and I really apologize in the back, the folks that all got up here and spoke very passionately tonight. I hear you, and I want you to understand, not only do I hear you, like I feel you. I've got 2 kids. I'm in the exact same situation, and I know sometimes that's hard to remember, but again, I will go back to the fact that the majority of us, all of us up here, are just regular folks. Some of us have kids in the district, and yeah, personally, my kids are struggling. I'm in the exact same boat. I can't tell you. I've got all A's and B kids, and Jessica's going to absolutely punch me in the face when I get home, because she said, don't you dare ever bring this up in a board meeting. I've got A's and B kids, and they're not doing so hot right now. And it's because of this stuff. So I say that because I want you to understand, because we talk about it a lot, that I genuinely do hear you and I feel you on a very, very personal level, right? The hard part and the interesting dilemma that I find myself in, and I've talked about this before, I think that all of us find ourselves in, is when I look at how we have become how Dorchester District 2, how DD2 has become what we've become. And I've told you before, it's not because of me. It's not because of any one of these board members. It's not because of board members that were up here for decades before us. It's not. It's not because of us. It is because of the leadership and the educators and the administration that we have in our district. And so the very honest answer is any one of us, any single one of us could make a motion and we could direct Mr. Pye to follow our will as a board at any point we want. We could absolutely do that. The problem is, and Mr. Pye hinted this earlier, from a leadership perspective, the buy-in, if we don't get the buy-in, if we don't get that full across the board, because again, the interesting dilemma, the hard part, for every single passionate person that says, go back face to face, you've got to do it, I'm right there with you, I agree. But on the flip side, and what I've also got to listen to, there are just as many passionate people with really good reasons and across the board saying, no, you need to stick to the plan, you need to do it this way, and I've got to listen when 63 education professionals that have gotten Dorchester District 2 to where we are today, when they say across the board, listen guys, we're looking at all the options and this is what we're coming up with, this is what we're presenting, this is the direction we need to go, I've got to listen to that. I'm not an education expert. As much as I would like to tell you that I am, I'm not. And so I just think it's really, really, really important that we take that into account. Again, from what I said from the beginning, understanding that this is an impossible situation, absolutely impossible situation. And I want you to know, I hear you and I feel you. And to close out, I'm going to put maybe an interesting spin on this that we haven't really talked about. Ms. Watson actually brought it up a little bit earlier. So we've said for a long time, I think a lot of board members have said, the continuous underfunding, the continuous lack of improvements, the continuous willingness from Columbia to look at our education system and make it better, specifically in Dorchester District 2, all of us, every single board member, you can go back for years in our minutes, we have all said the same thing. If we do not make that better and really pay attention to this and continuously try to advocate to make our education system better, at some point, it will break. The problem was nobody knew what that point was. It's kind of that question mark out there. Oh, one day, don't worry about it now because one day we'll fix it, and before it ever breaks, we'll fix it. You know what? Hearing all this stuff, looking at the discourse, looking at what is happening right now in our district, I think I could probably shake my head and say that time is either right upon us or right around the corner. And that's pretty scary if you really think about it. So all of that stuff that's been building up for decades and years where we have not gotten what we need from Columbia and from the state has been building up in this snowball. And all of a sudden we find ourselves in this pandemic. There you go. Because guess what? I'm going to use a conservative number. Tina, what, 10 million? Would that be fair from Act 388 funds that we lose every year? I'm going to use 10 million a year. Act 388 went in 2008. That's $120 million that we've lost out on from Act 388 alone. Think about the seats, think about the classrooms, think about everything that we could have done with $120 million to be better prepared for where we are right now. And again, listen, I will take as much blame of it as everybody else. All I can say is that I stood up and I ran for the board and I advocate and I'm trying to do what I know how to do to advocate to make it better. There's a lot of folks, there's a whole lot more folks than we're in this room that are gonna have to stand up and make it better. Because it's happening, folks, right now. Think about that, $120 million. We wouldn't be in this situation. I genuinely don't think we would be in the situation we are right now if that funding, if that care level had been there all along. Because again, you think about the classroom space, the teachers we could have hired, you think about everything we could have done along the way. And so I think all of this just highlights the gaps and the significant gaps, especially in Dorchester District 2, that are very, very apparent in our system. So I just wanted to mention that because I think it puts a little bit different spin on it, and we don't really talk about that a whole lot. But it's scary. It's really scary. And I just think of what we could have done if that really would have been better from the get-go. So again, I really do, folks. I want you to know I hear you. It's an impossible situation. If I could make it better, I would. If I could say go back face to face today, I would. But I've got to. In this position, in our positions, we have got to. We've got to listen to those folks that we put in charge. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. But that's what I got.
Mr. Pye, could you give us an update about the plexiglass and how that might affect getting us back sooner?
As one of the folks, or several of them mentioned, especially in the medical field, you use everything you can. Granted, some of the things, when children are sitting 30 in a room, is not going to be effective or as effective. Plexiglass has different means to different people. Again, if we have full classes with 30 in it, it would be somewhat, it will give better protection than not having it at all, just like wearing a face mask. If everybody wore the face mask with the plexiglass, people stayed in their seats and, left with the face mask on one at a time, didn't touch anybody, chances are we would be okay. I'm a firm believer. But that's the part we can't guarantee. The plexiglass has been ordered and paid for by the state of South Carolina. Dorchester 2 did not pay for them. It's the latest. It's the one approved by DHEC. It's been approved by the State Department of Education. I'm glad we didn't order it back in the summer, because had we ordered it, we would have gotten the wrong kind. As other districts, they've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars. The stuff might as well go to the junk pile. It's useless. This can be collapsible, and they can be stored in the event we ever had a bad flu situation or something else or to arise. We would have availability of that. The ones we ordered would fit any size desk and would fit tables. It's convertible to different surfaces, and so it comes behind the student sitting here. It's not just on the desk. It comes behind them, so they're completely in this, and it's so high. But now when you deal with a lot of kids, they're going to stand up and shout to Johnny across the way and do the things they do. So again, those are the things that keeps it from being totally effective. In the change of every class, if we're changing classes, which we would plan to do face to face, then we would have to clean those things for them to be effective also, because that child just left from breathing all over that, perhaps. The germs are there. It needs to be wiped down. Again, we're willing to do that. We can't find enough custodial help to help us through that. We're willing to do that. We're looking at right now. We've already added. It was a big deal to have to do the thing we're doing with the first grade, kindergarten through fifth grade, because we have to, that hour, so we have it. We wipe down everything. The whole school is cleaned in 1 hour. And that's a real burden to get that done that quickly when you have that many kids, because you can't be spraying stuff with them sitting in the room, of course. And so that's our problem. And so when we have the plexiglass and have the full-size classes, then it's going to mean constant cleaning in the room along with the other sanitizing. Every practice and protocol, and several of parents mentioned that tonight, we would have to have everything done to do that, checking temperatures. Everything would have to be done that we can do to try to say at least we tried, or we are trying to minimize the spread as much as we can and still try to have school. And so that's out there, and we talk about it every day. We had a lengthy discussion on that this morning. That plexiglass should be here in the next 2 weeks. Mid-November. So.
And the temperature thing, you said that was?
We've got the thermometers. Everything's been ordered. We got sanitizer by the gallons, hundreds and hundreds of gallons. The spray bottles that we poured in each day, We've got the wipes, we've got all the stuff that you need to have, the sprayers. Now we've got multiple sprayers, not just 2 for a school of 1. We like for some of the high school, they may have 20, so that we can really do multiple rooms quickly and get that school turned around fast. But remember now, they're changing classes. There's only 5 minutes to change a class. And some of them, when you pull out their 900 and something virtual students, they still have about 2,200 kids that will be traveling up down the hall. So that's 2,200 desks that will need to be cleaned. I just want you to see it's not so easy. Why don't you have them? It's how do you take care of them when you get them? Because that's part of the cutting the spread. It's not having them. It's how do you use them effectively? Just like the hospitals. They can say they cleaned the floor, but if they use the wrong solution, they've not killed any germs. And that's why they've perfected. Hospitals always look so clean and neat because this is a way of life for them. For us, that's not been a way of life. This is a big paradigm shift. The teaching and the delivery method of how we're teaching, parents see that piece. We're also dealing with the other piece. How do we create the safest environment possible? That's there too.
Mr. Pye, I guess I just want to make a point because what Justice Mr. Farnsworth said is very, very true. But just for a minute, if everybody can step out of where we're at and look at a great big picture, this district has raised its graduation rate to 91%, which is phenomenal. We have built a science technology center right up here that is state-of-the-art. We are in the top 10 in testing and even in the top 5 in many, many things. We have built numerous new schools. We have the best auditorium in the whole Southeast, and we have partnered building an aquatic center with North Charleston City. We have done some phenomenal things, and sometimes when we're in the depths of all this, if we could just see the big picture and realize, in spite of this, we have come a long way, and we have done wonderful things, and I think we all need to hear that too, because it makes you just feel a little bit better. So I just wanted to share that.
And the best is yet to come. If we said tonight we're going face-to-face Monday, I will receive 5,000 emails tomorrow saying, what are you doing? Not only would hundreds of teachers quit or threaten to quit, bus drivers, other staff members, but I will hear from lots of parents, this is not suitable. We chose to do the face-to-face and not the virtual because that's the model we were aiming for, hoping we would get there soon. We're not willing to go this soon because we don't feel it's safe for our kids. We're putting lots of people at jeopardy. That's why we have the plan. Everybody understood the plan. The plan was voted on by you on July the 26th, I believe it was. We've discussed it every meeting since, every 2 weeks. So I don't know what else I could communicate. It's what it is. We've made changes. We've tried to show the flexibility from where we are. And if you do, some people love it. Some people hate it. We've drawn the line in the sand. And at the end of the day, I don't see anybody, a majority of people saying they're totally happy because they're going to be miserable with still their job issues, losing employment, putting food on the table for their families, other issues that they're experiencing, and you can't go to a store and buy clothes. They won't let you try them on. You can't go to sporting events. They're limited to the number of people. Not that I'm planning on going to anything soon, but it's become it's just awful. And you drive up to a fast food place that you're used to going into, and it says takeout dining. Well, you're not. I'm tired of eating in the car. That's not my plan. So it's just issues, it's everything that rattles people's cages. And I'm sure if I wasn't as close to it as I am, and I had several children, different grade levels, and some of them were struggling in their lessons, I perfectly understand, just as you said, where they're coming from. I've heard, there's nothing that I haven't heard that I don't believe, with the exception that maybe everybody's not doing the best they can to make the right decision. That I disagree with. However, everything else I understand. I've heard it hundreds of times. Nothing tonight was told that was brand new. It's what it is. So we're struggling with it. And as soon as we find some type of hope, that's our goal. I mean, I can't end World War III, which is the pandemic. I can't tell you who the next president's going to be. I can't tell you any of this stuff. I do not have control over health conditions. And I'm just, it's part of my job is to make sure our children are safe and we have a nurturing environment for children and for our employees who are the backbone of the district. Without them, we are nothing. And so we've lost the money. We can't pay our teachers what other districts do. Talking about neighboring districts, they're giving their teachers $1,000. That will give them $500. I wish I could. I have no money. But you know why they have to give them the money? To bribe them to stay, because they're calling me. We could fill 100 jobs tomorrow. So this part of me says if the other districts wouldn't let the teachers out of their contract, but come next spring, we're going to have plenty of teachers wanting to work here. Would you agree, Ms. Watson? You heard that? Constantly begging for positions. Business people calling me. My wife is fed up in the district they're in. They're tired of the way they're dealt with. Their voices are not heard. They feel endangered. We would like to come to a district that appreciates their staff, works with their staff, and puts the needs and the health of children first. And so I feel empowered by that. Again, is that a majority? I don't know. I don't know what the majority is anymore. I just know that this is the plan that seems to fit what our needs are at this time, and we are moving as fast as we can get face to face. That is our goal. No one's trying to stall. Nobody can be more disappointed than I am about the current numbers. I really had hopes of having different twists on this, like about now, and it's pushed me back a little bit, and I'm frustrated. As I'm sure our leaders in Congress and our nation, that we don't have a vaccine. We've all been waiting and praying for a vaccine. We've been told it was coming last month, the month before, may come at Christmas. Some people don't believe it's ever coming. Then people are saying they won't take it if it comes. There are lots of issues out there that, like I'm saying, people really are being asked to make commitments and make decisions and draw the line in a sand that's quicksand, I'm afraid. Thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions for Mr. Pye? Okay, and Dr. Harrison, thank you for that wonderful video. We appreciate that. We'll move now on to our finance report, Ms. Tina Meunier.
Board members and Mr. Pye, you found in your board packets the August 31st, 2020 financial statements for the district. I just wanted to go over these very briefly with you. So our first page that you see is our balance sheet. We have our comparison reports from August of 2019 as well. And we are right on track with how we ran last year. You'll just notice that there is an increase in the assets and also in our fund balance. We had a little bit of savings from last year, which worked over into our fund balance for this new year. On the next page is our schedule of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance. Again, we show our comparison with last year, and our ideal percentage is at 83%. If you'll remember that at the end of August, we still weren't fully back to school, and I'll point out that some of our expenditures are lower this year versus last year because during the first week of school, when the students were back during LEAP, those expenditures were charged to the state money that they gave us for LEAP. So we had a little bit of savings there. So then we move on to our food service fund, and we're showing you comparison with last year, which this year looks a lot better than last year. We are working with Sodexo now, and again, the students weren't back full-time yet, and we were working with the summer feeding program. So you'll see that the activity is a lot less this year than last year. And then finally, our schedule of revenues and expenditures for the food service fund. Again, we didn't have all the students back, and you will see that there are some expenditures for this year. We are still liable to pay, we still pay for a portion of salaries for, we have some liaisons that work directly for the district, so we are paying expenditures for them. So we look a lot better this year than last year, and we'll continue to work with Sodexo and have a good partnership with them, and we'll do better this year. So that was everything that I had on those financial statements. And just to share briefly with you the fund balances for the school activity funds. You'll see that on the elementary balances, the balances look a little higher this year as compared to last year because, again, we were starting with a surplus of funds from last year because the students were not in school. So maybe some fundraisers that they had, they're still showing in their account. So they'll be working on spending those this year, but everybody was in really good shape. So if you have any questions.
Make a motion to accept the August financials as informational.
Okay, I need a second.
Second.
Mr. Farnsworth made the motion, Mr. Guthrie second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. It's unanimous.
Okay, thank you. So I now wanted to go back in time just a little bit to talk to you about our financials as of June 30th of 2020. So Allison Duke left us in the middle of the year, which was probably smart for her because it got a little crazy after she left. But she led us in excellence and hard work for many years, and she left us in a very good place. So we continued to work hard through the second half of the year. We hired Billy Saunders to join our team, and we ended the fiscal year on a high note, even during this crazy COVID time. I want to commend our entire finance staff and the principals and directors and the financial secretaries working in the schools and with the various programs for overseeing their funds properly. It was truly a team effort. Earlier this evening, we had a board workshop, and our outside auditors, Elliott Davis, presented our financial statements. They worked hard with us, and they were flexible with how they performed their audit this year, and they were great. So Kim Davis from the audit firm is going to recap from the board workshop.
Thanks, Tina. I'll try and keep this brief since we went over everything in a little bit more depth earlier. But the biggest thing is our objective is to express an opinion on the financial statements as to whether or not they're materially correct. And I'm pleased to announce that we had an unmodified opinion on those. So great job. And once again, I mentioned in the board workshop, we had no audit adjustments as well, which is phenomenal. So I just want to echo that Tina and Billy and their team do a phenomenal job. And they were very helpful once, again, Tina mentioned the crazy COVID time that we're in, had to try and do some stuff virtually, and they were extremely helpful, got us everything we needed, made it pretty much seamless. As far as the financial statements go, general fund balance, very strong. It's got about $33 million in it. About $32 million of that is unassigned, so roughly 14.8% of your next year's budget, which is really good. The state requires about 8.3% as your unassigned fund balance, and so it's about equivalent of 1 month, so you guys are almost double that, so good shape. Revenues were up about 4% from the last year, mainly due to an increase in property taxes and operating grant revenue, and expenses increased pretty much in line with the increase in revenues, and the majority of that was in instruction and support services, which you would expect is all going back to the students, which is phenomenal. Once again, I mentioned no audit adjustments. There was no findings in any of our other compliance audits that we were required to do, and sound financial condition. So overall, great job, no findings. Any questions before?
No question. I just want to commend Tina, Billy, and your staff. No adjustments. How many line items do we have? 30,000 plus? 30,000 line items in a budget, and no adjustments from an audit is unbelievable. So I just want to commend you guys for the work that you put in. That is truly amazing. The other thing I just want to mention, because some folks don't realize, I get the question every once in a while, when do you do an audit? You guys don't do audits. I think folks forget that we do an audit every single year. From a very, very, very high level, will you just talk about what you look at from an audit perspective on the school district's budget?
Sure. So we kind of go through a planning process, think of what the different risks are for the various different funds, various different accounts. Each account has its own risk inherently, and kind of come up with an approach for the audit as to how we're going to test that. A lot of stuff is done on a sample basis because we can't test everything. So we use materiality in the scope of that to kind of determine sample sizes, nature, extent, timing, all of that fun stuff. But we look at a variety of things. We may do some analytics on some things. We may look at a sample, like I said, of details, so get an invoice and vouch it to that. There's various different testing procedures that we do, but a lot of it is driven based on discussions with management, the board, prior experience, historical data, and like I said, kind of the underlying risks behind the different accounts. Does that answer your question? Okay. Didn't want to go into too much detail there, but anything else?
Thank you very much. It was great news to hear what you shared with us.
No problem. Thank you.
Okay, we are going to need a motion to accept that audit report as information, yeah.
I make a motion to accept the audit report as information.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Mr. Mitchum, any discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. That is unanimous. And now we would like to turn the time over to our facilities, Mr. Tony Solst, for a report, a construction report.
Good evening. You have the complete facilities and construction update. I just want to touch on a couple of highlights. Our new middle school, we are wrapping up the design development phase and getting ready to turn that into some construction documents. And we're on track for an early start date for the site work. We're on track with that, with the contingency of all the permits being in place at that time. I want to give a brief update on what's going on over the district office renovation. There's some paint going on the walls over there on Wing 1. They're doing that sequentially, so as they get close to on one wing, they can go right to the next, while they're still doing some a little bit of demolition in the front wing. So everything should wrap up in the next 4 to 5 months, and we're hopeful that we can get in there around March. We're hopeful now. So the site worker, he got on site last week, and he is doing some underground work, removing some trees. The windows are going in, and it's looking really nice over there. If you get a chance to ride by, it's starting to take shape on the outside as well as the inside. So hopefully we can get together sometime soon and take a walk through and take a look around.
That'd be great.
That's the brief of it. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to.
Anybody have any questions? Thank you very much. Okay, there is no board committee reports at this time, and unfinished business. I think we have. Oh, thank you. Personnel report. Thank you. We do have, if it's okay, it's in your packet to do this in an open board meeting, to accept the resignations or the hirings for our district for 2020 and 2021. I need a motion. Mr. Farnsworth. Ms. Crosby second. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. Thank you. Okay, and thanks for helping me with that. We do not have any new business, so we do have a public comment from Mr. Greenstreet. And Mr. Greenstreet is at 101 Spring Meadows. Can you come forward, please?
You say that like you know me.
We kind of look forward to your public comments.
All right, 3 minutes, here we go. So I spent about 21 years as a pilot in the Air Force, about the first 10 years living out a childhood dream, and about the last 11 years trying to figure out what I took an oath for. What did that oath mean, to uphold the Constitution? What's in the Constitution? I mentioned 2 weeks ago that I didn't learn a whole lot in high school and college about the Constitution, and I know it's being taught, the 10 Amendments and stuff, but I don't think it's in detail what's being taught. So I went out and I bought this book on my own. I've been studying it. It's The Making of America, the Substance and Meaning of the Constitution. A couple things that I learned. For one, the Founding Fathers, they studied the Old Testament. They learned from Moses, who would learn from Jethro about representative government. And they learned that. But kind of a hot topic, I'm going to pick the Second Amendment. to talk about a little bit. So the Second Amendment actually says, because a well-regulated state militia is necessary for the security of free people, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed by the federal government. So that's the federal government. So the state government can do whatever they want. You can look at New York State and what they've done up there. But the state government can take away your right to own a weapon, period. It's the federal government that can't make any rule against your right to own a weapon. State militia. Who belongs to the state militia? Under Title 10, Section 31 of the U.S. Code, the militia of each state includes all able-bodied males at least 17 years of age and under 45 years of age who are or have made a declaration of intent to become citizens. I had no idea. I had no idea about that. I hear a lot of people, mainly on the news, say, hey, it's my constitutional right. I'm not sure they know that it's actually a constitutional right. They just think that they have a right to do whatever they want in the country. Sometimes you hear about the National Guard, and I'm not going to have time to read all of it, but I do want to talk about the right of the people. The framers of the Bill of Rights consistently used the words right of the people to reflect individual rights, as when these words were used to recognize the right of the people to peacefully assemble, the right of the people against unreasonable search and seizures. They distinguished between the rights of the people and of the state in the 10th Amendment. And as discussed earlier, the militia itself referred to a concept of universally armed people, not to any specifically organized unit. And finally, the National Guard is not the militia referred to in the Second Amendment. The modern National Guard was specifically intended to avoid status as a constitutional militia, a distinction recognized by the U.S. Code 10. That's all I got to say. I just wanted to give another plug for the Constitution. I think that it would do as well. I know that the focus right now is on COVID, and you guys got your focus elsewhere, and I appreciate that. It's a very difficult assignment at best. But I think the country would do better if kids coming out of high school actually knew what was in the Constitution. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Greenstreet. Okay, I need a motion to go into executive session for contractual matters regarding Somerville High School Stadium property, as well as contractual matters regarding Boone Hill Road land disposal and acquisition.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, Ms. Tupper made the motion and Ms. Hughes seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. It is unanimous. Thank you all for being here tonight. I need a motion for us to go back into open session. Ms. Crosby, Ms. Hughes, May the 2nd. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. Okay, there is no business to vote on, so I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Guthrie.
Yeah.
It would have to be Evan Guthrie. And Brian mentioned second. Any discussion?
Yeah. I just want to say it's been an honor serving with everybody on here on the board the last 4 years. And really, it's just been hard work doing working for a school district. And just want to say thank you for working with everybody during the last 4 years. If we're here 2 weeks from now or not, it's just been an honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Evan. Okay, we are adjourned.